She thought she was texting her sister while bleeding out in a dark parking garage. But by mistake, she texted the most dangerous billionaire in the city. From that moment, her life spun into a storm of betrayal, mafia secrets, and a revenge that shocked everyone who thought she was weak. What happened when her cheating husband, his mistress, and even her own family turned against her? And how did one wrong text become the weapon that destroyed them all? Stay with me until the end, because the truth will leave you speechless. And the ending? You'll never see it coming. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to hit like, drop a comment, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more dramatic tales you can't stop watching. Sarah Mitchell pressed her hand against her 7-month baby bump as she watched her husband command the stage. The tech launch party sparkled with Silicon Valley's finest, champagne flutes catching the light from massive LED walls displaying David's new app interface. At 35, Sarah had everything she'd once dreamed of: the successful husband, the Manhattan penthouse, and soon their first child. "You look radiant," someone said beside her. Sarah turned to find her younger sister, Victoria Roberts, holding 2 glasses of sparkling water. "Thanks, Tori," Sarah replied, accepting the drink gratefully, "though I feel more like a beached whale than radiant these days." David's voice boomed through the speakers as he explained how his revolutionary finance app would change banking forever. Sarah had heard this pitch 100 times over family dinners, watched him perfect every gesture in their bedroom mirror. She'd even invested her entire trust fund into his company, believing in his vision. After all, that's what supportive wives did. The crowd erupted in applause as David reached his closing remarks. Sarah clapped proudly, catching his eye from across the room. But instead of the warm smile she expected, David's face drained of color. He wasn't looking at her. He was staring at the LED walls behind him. The screens flickered. David's presentation vanished. In its place appeared a woman in a white gown, her hands cradling what was unmistakably a pregnant belly. "Hello, everyone," the woman purred into the camera. "I'm Jessica Hayes, and I have an announcement that couldn't wait." Sarah's sparkling water slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. She knew that face, David's marketing consultant, who'd been working late hours at the office. But it was the baby bump that made Sarah's knees buckle. 5 months ago, Jessica continued, her live stream already showing 2 million viewers and climbing, David Mitchell and I began our love story. Yes, 5 months. Do the math. That's before his current wife even got pregnant. The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Phones appeared in every hand, recording the drama unfolding on the massive screens. Sarah stood frozen as Jessica produced ultrasound images, holding them up to the camera with dates clearly visible. Dates that overlapped with Sarah and David's anniversary trip to Cabo. "I know this is shocking," Jessica said, fake tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. "But love doesn't follow society's timeline. David and I are having a baby, and we couldn't be happier." Sarah waited for David to deny it, to rush to her side, to shut down this obvious attack on their marriage. Instead, she watched in horror as her husband of 3 years stepped down from the podium and walked directly toward the main entrance. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, she could see Jessica standing outside, still live streaming. David took her hand. He didn't say a word, but his actions spoke volumes. The room exploded into chaos. Reporters who'd come for a tech story suddenly had the scandal of the year. Sarah felt Tori's arms around her, heard her sister saying something about leaving, but all she could focus on was the crushing pain in her chest and the sudden, sharp cramp in her abdomen. "Sarah, we need to go," Tori insisted, but even her sister's voice sounded distant, muffled by the roaring in Sarah's ears. Jessica had re-entered the building, David's arm around her waist. She walked directly towards Sarah, her heels clicking against the marble like a countdown to execution. The crowd parted, everyone sensing the impending confrontation, phones held high to capture every second. "Sarah," Jessica said sweetly, loudly enough for everyone to hear, "I'm so sorry you had to find out this way, but honestly, it's better for everyone. David's been miserable for months." Sarah found her voice, though it came out as barely a whisper. "You're lying." "Am I?" Jessica pulled out her phone, connected it to the sound system with practiced ease. Suddenly, Sarah's own voice filled the room, but distorted, edited. It was from her therapy sessions prior to her father's death, but the clips were cut to make her sound unhinged, violent even. I sometimes think about ending it all, Sarah's edited voice said. The crowd gasped. That wasn't what she'd said. She'd been talking about ending her career to focus on family, but Jessica had spliced the audio masterfully. David deserves better than a mentally unstable wife, Jessica announced to the room and her millions of live stream viewers. He deserves someone who can give him a healthy child, not someone who can barely take care of herself. The cramp in Sarah's abdomen intensified. She doubled over, one hand clutching her belly, the other reaching for something, anything, to steady herself. That's when she felt it. Warm liquid running down her leg. Not her water breaking. Blood. "Oh my God!" someone screamed. "She's bleeding!" But as Sarah looked up, through tears of pain and humiliation, she saw David standing there, his face cold and impassive. He made no move to help her. Security guards, had David arranged this, approached her instead. "Ma'am, we need you to leave," one said firmly. "You're causing a disturbance." The parking garage spun in Sarah's vision as she stumbled toward her car, leaving a trail of blood droplets on the concrete. Tori had disappeared. When had her sister left her side? Sarah's designer dress, once pristine white, now showed spreading crimson stains. Her phone trembled in her hand as she tried to unlock her Mercedes, but the key fob wouldn't work. Come on," she begged the universe, clicking repeatedly. Nothing. The car remained locked, its lights not even flickering in acknowledgement. Another contraction hit, this one strong enough to drop her to her knees beside the vehicle. The baby, her baby girl, already named Lily in her heart, couldn't come now. Not at 7 months. Not like this, alone in a parking garage while her husband celebrated with his pregnant mistress upstairs. Sarah pulled out her phone, her vision in blurring from tears and pain. She needed help. Her first instinct was to call David, but she could still see his cold face, his hand in Jessica's. Her parents were in Florida, too far away. That left Tori. She opened her messages, fingers shaking so badly she could barely type. Her sister's contact appeared. M. Roberts. Right, Tori had insisted on being listed under her married name for professionalism. Sarah didn't question why the M was there instead of T for Tori. Her mind was fragmenting from pain and shock. "Tori, please help," she typed, each letter a monumental effort. "I'm hemorrhaging. David destroyed me. Need hospital now." She hit send and collapsed against the car, her breath coming in sharp gasps. The concrete felt cold against her cheek, a strange comfort against the fire burning through her abdomen. She tried to focus on her breathing exercises from prenatal class, but every technique assumed a partner would be there counting with her, holding her hand. Her phone screen lit up with a reply almost instantly. Location? Sarah shared her location without thinking. Grateful Tori had responded so quickly. She typed back, "Parking garage, level B2, please hurry, bleeding won't stop." The minutes stretched like hours. Sarah could hear the party continuing above, bass from the music thumping through the concrete like a distorted heartbeat. Were they still watching Jessica's live stream? Were people laughing at the pathetic wife who'd been publicly replaced? A car engine roared through the garage, tires screeching around corners. Not Tori's sensible Honda. This sounded like something powerful, expensive. A black Bentley slid to a stop inches from where Sarah lay curled on the ground. The driver's door opened, and out stepped a man she'd never seen before. Tall, early 40s, with the kind of presence that made the air itself feel heavier. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than most people's cars, and his dark eyes assessed the situation in one swift glance. "Sarah Mitchell?" His voice carried a slight accent she couldn't place. Who are you?" Sarah gasped between contractions. "Where's Tori?" "I'm Marcus Romano. You texted me." He was already on his phone, barking orders. "I need the medical team at my location now. Woman, 7 months pregnant, hemorrhaging. 2 minutes, or you're all fired." Sarah's confused mind tried to process this. She'd texted M. Roberts, Tori, but looking at her phone through blurred vision, she saw the contact details were wrong. This wasn't her sister's number. This was a number she'd saved months ago from one of David's business cards scattered on his desk. M. Roberts, investment. Only it wasn't Roberts. In her phone's contacts, Oh, it auto-corrected to Monsieur Romano's investment. I don't, I made a mistake, Sarah whispered. Wrong number. Lucky mistake, Marcus replied, shrugging off his jacket and placing it under her head. Your husband owes me $8 million. If you die in this garage, I'll never see that money. So you're going to live, Sarah Mitchell. You and your baby both. His words should have terrified her. Who was this man David owed millions to? But another contraction hit, and she screamed. Blood pooled beneath her now, too much blood. She could feel Lily moving frantically inside her, as if the baby knew something was terribly wrong. Please, Sarah begged, not sure if she was talking to Marcus, God, or the universe itself. Save my baby. I don't care what happens to me. Just save her. Marcus's expression shifted, something flickering in his dark eyes, recognition perhaps, or an old pain. No one dies tonight, he said firmly. My medical team has experience with complicated situations. A white van screeched into the garage, and suddenly Sarah was surrounded by people in medical scrubs. They worked with military efficiency, setting up IVs, checking vitals, preparing her for transport. She heard medical terms being thrown around: placental abruption, preterm labor, hemorrhagic shock, each one more terrifying than the last. We need to move now, one of the medics told Marcus. The hospital. No hospitals, Marcus interrupted. Take her to the facility. Dr. Elizabeth Harper is already prepped. Sarah wanted to protest, but another contraction stole her breath. As they lifted her onto a stretcher, she caught Marcus's arm. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. He looked down at her, and for a moment, his controlled mask slipped. I knew someone once. 7 months pregnant, betrayed by everyone she trusted. She didn't have anyone to accidentally text. His jaw tightened. She didn't make it. The stretcher was moving now, sliding into the van. Marcus climbed in beside her, still on his phone, coordinating something she couldn't follow. Sarah's vision started to fade at the edges, darkness creeping in like spilled ink. David, she mumbled, not sure why she was saying his name. He planned this, didn't he? Marcus looked at her with something almost like pity. Oh, Sarah, you have no idea how deep this goes. But first we keep you alive. Then we discuss your husband's debts. All of them. As the van roared through the New York streets, Sarah felt her consciousness slipping. The last thing she heard was Marcus on the phone. Yes, Father, I have her. David Mitchell's wife. Yes, she's perfect for what we need. Sarah woke to the sound of a steady heartbeat. Not her own, but the rhythmic beeping of a fetal monitor. Her eyes fluttered open to find herself in what looked more like a luxury hotel suite than a hospital room. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the Manhattan skyline at dawn, painting the room in soft golden light. Welcome back. A woman in scrubs stood beside her bed, checking various monitors. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Harper. You gave us quite a scare last night. Sarah's hand immediately went to her belly. Still round, still firm. My baby? She's stable. We managed to stop the labor and control the bleeding. You'll need complete bed rest for at least a week, but both of you should make a full recovery. Relief flooded through Sarah so intensely that fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Lily was safe. Despite everything, David's betrayal, Jessica's cruelty, the hemorrhaging, her daughter had survived. Where am I? Sarah asked, taking in the medical equipment that seemed impossibly advanced, the kind of technology she'd only seen in medical journals David's tech friends shared. Mr. Romano's private medical facility, Dr. Elizabeth Harper replied carefully. He maintains it for special circumstances. Before Sarah could ask what that meant, the door opened and Marcus Romano entered, carrying a tablet in a leather folder. In daylight, he was even more imposing. Sharp cheekbones, eyes so dark they were almost black, and an aura of controlled power that made the room feel smaller. Good, you're awake, he said, pulling up a chair beside her bed with surprising gentleness. We need to talk about your husband. Ex-husband, Sarah corrected automatically, then winced. They weren't divorced yet, but after last night, not quite. Marcus opened the tablet, showing her a live stream replay. Jessica was still broadcasting, now from Sarah's own bedroom, wearing Sarah's jewelry. She's been in your home all night, streaming to 4 million followers. Your husband has been giving tours, showing off your personal items. letting Jessica auction them to the highest bidder. Sarah watched in horror as Jessica held up her grandmother's pearl necklace, a family heirloom worth more than most people's yearly salary. Starting bid at 10,000, Jessica chirped to the camera. From the pathetic wife's collection. David says she won't need it where she's going. Where I'm going? Sarah's voice cracked. What does that mean? Marcus switched to another screen. Legal documents. Your husband filed for emergency custody this morning, citing mental instability and dangerous behavior. He's also frozen all your joint accounts and credit cards. But here's what's interesting. He pulled up financial records. 3 days ago, he transferred your entire trust fund, $30 million, into an offshore account. Sarah's world tilted. That trust fund was her inheritance from her grandmother, protected by an ironclad prenup. David shouldn't have been able to touch it. That's impossible. He would need my signature, my biometric approval, or a wife too drugged to remember signing. Marcus showed her medical records. Her medical records. You've been prescribed lithium for the past 6 months. Therapeutic doses for bipolar disorder, according to this. Tell me, Sarah, do you have bipolar disorder? No, I don't take any medications except prenatal vitamins. But even as she said it, memories surfaced. The vitamins David brought her every morning, insisting on watching her take them. The increasing brain fog, trembling hands, episodes where she couldn't remember conversations. Oh my God, he's been drugging me. Lithium toxicity mimics mental illness quite effectively, Dr. Elizabeth Harper interjected from where she was checking monitors. Your blood work shows levels consistent with chronic poisoning. It's a miracle your baby survived. Sarah's hands protectively covered her belly. David had been poisoning her while she carried his child. The man who'd sworn to love and protect her had been slowly destroying her from the inside. The word came out as a broken whisper. Why would he do this? Marcus leaned back, his expression unreadable. Money, primarily. Your trust fund could solve his problems. You see, your husband owes my casino $8 million, but that's just the beginning. He pulled up more files. He's been laundering money for the Kozlov crime family, my competitors. They own him now, and by extension, they were planning to own you and your child. Crime family? Sarah's head spun. David's a tech entrepreneur. He creates apps. Failed apps. His company has been hemorrhaging money for 2 years. The Kozlovs offered him a lifeline, clean their money through his payment processing systems. But David got greedy, skimmed from the wrong people. Now he needs your money to pay them back, or they'll kill him. Marcus stood walking to the window. The morning sun cast his profile in sharp relief. The Kozlovs sent Jessica. She's not just some influencer. She's Natasha Kozlov, the boss's daughter. The pregnancy is fake, of course. Once they've destroyed you publicly, taken your money, and secured custody of your child, you'll have an unfortunate accident. Postpartum depression, they'll say. Another tragedy. Sarah felt like she couldn't breathe. Every person she'd trusted had betrayed her. David, the man she'd loved. Even Tori. Where had her sister been when she needed her most? Why are you telling me this? She asked Marcus. What do you want? He turned from the window, his dark eyes intense. I want the Kozlovs destroyed. They've been encroaching on my territory, threatening my family's business. Your husband is the key to bringing them down, and you, Sarah, are the key to bringing down your husband. I'm 7 months pregnant and just nearly died. I'm not exactly in a position to bring down anyone. No, but you're in the perfect position to document everything. Marcus returned to his chair, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Stay here in my protection. Recover. Meanwhile, we'll record everything David and Jessica do. Every crime, every confession, every cruel act. When the time is right, we'll destroy them all. Sarah knew she should refuse, should run from this dangerous man and his violent world. But where would she go? Her accounts were frozen, her family had disappeared, and her husband was trying to steal her child. What's the catch? She asked. Men like you don't offer protection for free. Marcus's smile was sharp as a blade. Smart woman, you're right, I don't do anything for free. But my price is simple. When this is over, you testify about David's money laundering. Help me take down the Kozlovs legally, and I'll make sure you and your daughter are set for life. 3 days into her stay at Marcus's facility, Sarah finally received a visitor she'd been desperately waiting for. Tori burst through the door, tears streaming down her face, immediately rushing to Sarah's bedside. "Oh my God, Sarah, I've been so worried," Tori sobbed, gripping her hand. "I couldn't find you anywhere after the party. David said you'd been hospitalized, but no hospital had any record of you." Sarah's relief at seeing her sister was overwhelming. "Tori, I texted you from the parking garage. I was bleeding, dying, and you never came." Confusion crossed Tori's face. "What? I never got any text. I lost you in the crowd when Jessica started that awful live stream. Security wouldn't let me follow you to the garage." She pulled out her phone. "See? Nothing from you." Sarah checked her own phone, showing the messages she'd sent to what she thought was Tori's number. Her sister's face went pale. "That's not my number. I haven't had that number in months. I changed it after that stalker incident, remember?" The memory surfaced slowly through the fog of what Sarah now knew was lithium poisoning. Tori had changed her number, but David had said he'd updated it in Sarah's phone. He'd never done it. Instead, he'd left Marcus Romano's number under a similar name, setting up this accidental text that might have saved Sarah's life. "It doesn't matter now," Sarah said, squeezing Tori's hand. "I'm safe. But Tori, I need your help. David's been drugging me, stealing my money. He's involved with criminals. We need to—" "Slow down," Tori interrupted, her expression concerned. "Sarah, honey, you've been through trauma. David said you might say things like this, that the stress of pregnancy combined with your condition—" "What condition?" Sarah's voice turned sharp. "I don't have a condition. David's been poisoning me with lithium." Tori's face was a study in sympathy that somehow rang false. "Sarah, I know it's hard to accept, but David showed me the prescriptions, the doctor's notes. You've been struggling, and that's okay. Mental illness isn't something to be ashamed of." Sarah jerked her hand away from her sister's grip. "You believe him? After what he did at the party? After he publicly humiliated me with his pregnant mistress?" "About that," Tori shifted uncomfortably. "Jessica explained everything on her stream. She and David fell in love, yes, but they tried to fight it. They didn't want to hurt you, especially in your fragile state. Sometimes these things just happen." The words hit Sarah like physical blows. Her own sister was defending the man who'd poisoned her, who'd stolen her inheritance, who'd tried to kill her and their baby. "Get out," Sarah whispered. "Sarah, please." "Get out," Sarah screamed, and immediately the door opened. Not medical staff, but two large men in suits who clearly worked security for Marcus. Tori stood slowly, her face a mask of hurt. "I'm trying to help you, Sarah. David just wants what's best for the baby. Maybe when you are feeling better, you'll see that." As security escorted Tori out, Sarah noticed something that made her blood run cold. Tori's purse, a new designer bag she definitely couldn't afford on her teacher's salary. The same brand Jessica had been flaunting on her live stream. Marcus entered moments after Tori left, his expression grim. "I'm sorry you had to learn about your sister this way." "You knew?" Sarah's voice was hollow. "You knew Tori was working with them?" "We've been monitoring all communications since you arrived." He handed her a tablet showing text messages between Tori and David. "Your sister's been feeding him information for months. She's been paid handsomely for it." Sarah read the messages, each one another dagger to her heart. Tori describing Sarah's mental state after their father's death. Tori suggesting which vitamins Sarah trusted most. Tori confirming Sarah would be at the launch party, ensuring the perfect audience for her humiliation. "She helped him poison me," Sarah said numbly. "My own sister helped him poison me while I was pregnant." "There's more." Marcus swiped to bank records. $300,000 transferred to your sister over the past 6 months. Payments for cooperation. They're labeled as family support in David's books. Sarah thought she'd hit rock bottom when David betrayed her. But this, her baby sister, the girl she'd helped raise after their mother died, selling her out for money, this was a special kind of hell. "Everyone I loved has betrayed me," she whispered, hand on her belly. "Lily's not even born yet, and she only has me." "That's not entirely true." Marcus's voice was unusually gentle. You have my protection, and unlike your family, I have no reason to betray you. Our interests align perfectly. You want justice? I want the Kozlovs gone. Together, we can achieve both. Sarah looked at this dangerous man who'd shown her more kindness in 3 days than her family had in months. Tell me about the woman you mentioned, the one who didn't make it. Marcus's jaw tightened, but after a moment, he spoke. My sister, Sophia, 7 months pregnant, just like you. Her husband was abusive, but he was connected, a judge's son. No one would help her. She called me one night, crying, bleeding. By the time I got there, he stopped, his hands clenched into fists. I found her at the bottom of the stairs. The baby didn't survive either. Her husband claimed she fell, but I knew better. What happened to him? Marcus's smile was cold as winter. He fell down some stairs too, 37 times. Sarah should have been horrified. Instead, she felt a dark satisfaction. Good. You're learning, Marcus approved. The world isn't divided into good and evil, Sarah. It's divided into predators and prey. Your mistake was thinking love made you safe from predators. But prey can grow teeth too. A knock at the door interrupted them. Dr. Elizabeth Harper entered with a tablet. Mr. Romano, you need to see this. Jessica Hayes is live streaming again. Marcus turned the screen towards Sarah. Jessica stood in Sarah's walk-in closet, holding up dress after dress. But it was what she said that made Sarah's blood boil. David's pathetic ex tried to baby trap him. Jessica laughed to her millions of viewers. She got pregnant on purpose, thinking it would save their marriage. But David told me he never even wanted kids with her. He's so excited about our baby, though. Our little boy is going to have the best daddy ever. The heart monitor spiked as Sarah's rage built. She's saying David didn't want Lily? More importantly, Marcus noted, she just admitted to fraud. She's claiming to have a boy. Hard to know the gender when you're not actually pregnant. A week into Sarah's recovery, Marcus introduced her to someone who would change everything. His ex-wife, Elena Romano. The woman who entered Sarah's medical suite was stunning in an intimidating way, with sharp cheekbones and eyes that seemed to see through everything. So you're the latest bird with broken wings, Elena said, surveying Sarah with clinical detachment. Marcus always did have a type. Elena, Marcus warned, but his ex-wife waved him off. She deserves to know what she's gotten into, Marcus. Elena pulled up a chair, fixing Sarah with an intense stare. Has he told you about the others? The pregnant women he's saved over the years? Sarah's stomach dropped. Others? 3 that I know of, all pregnant, all betrayed by their partners, all desperately in need of rescue. Elena pulled out her phone, showing Sarah news articles. Monica Stevens, 7 months pregnant, husband was embezzling. Marcus saved her, protected her, got her justice. Then she vanished. Moved abroad, he said. Rebecca Torres, 8 months pregnant, fleeing an abusive partner. Marcus hid her, fought her legal battles. Also vanished. Started a new life, supposedly. You're implying I killed them? Marcus's voice was dangerously low. Careful, Elena. I'm implying you collect broken women like artifacts, Elena shot back. You couldn't save Sophia, so you keep trying to save her over and over again. Sarah looked between them, her head spinning. Are they dead? No, Marcus said firmly. Monica runs a fashion empire in Milan now. Rebecca is a federal judge in Seattle. I can provide proof if needed. And the third? Sarah pressed. Elena and Marcus exchanged glances. The third tried to con him, Elena said finally. Faked the pregnancy, faked the abuse. She thought Marcus would be an easy mark, a grieving brother with deep pockets. What happened to her? She's in federal prison, Marcus said flatly. Fraud, attempted extortion, and conspiracy to commit murder. She was planning to kill me once she got access to my accounts. Sarah absorbed this information, trying to reconcile it with the man who'd saved her life. So which am I? Another Sophia to save, or another con artist to expose? That remains to be seen, Elena said, standing. But here's my advice, woman to woman. Marcus Romano doesn't do anything without an agenda. Yes, he saved you. Yes, he'll protect you. But ask yourself, what does he gain from it? After Elena left, Sarah confronted Marcus directly. What do you gain from helping me? Marcus was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the city lights. Your husband isn't just laundering money for the Kozlovs. He's been selling them information about my operations, security protocols, shipping schedules, vulnerable points in my casino systems, information he could only get from someone inside my organization. You have a mole? I found them last month, but the damage was done. The Kozlovs have been hitting my operations with surgical precision. They cost me $40 million in the last quarter alone. Sarah understood now. So David owes you $8 million, but he's cost you $40 million. And taking down the Kozlovs through David would be worth everything, Marcus finished. The Kozlovs are old-school Russian mob, brutal but sloppy. They're recording everything on Jessica's live streams, thinking they're untouchable. But with the right evidence, the FBI would have enough to destroy their entire organization. And you want me to help gather that evidence? You're uniquely positioned. David still thinks you're weak, broken. Jessica sees you as defeated. They'll make mistakes around you they'd never make around me. Sarah considered this. She was being used, but at least Marcus was honest about it. Unlike David, unlike Tori, Marcus wasn't pretending to love her while stabbing her in the back. I'll help you, she said finally. But I have conditions. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You're negotiating? Good. What do you want? First, full custody of Lily, no matter what. Second, I want my inheritance back, plus damages. Third, I want David and Jessica to pay for what they've done, legally. I won't be party to murder. And if the legal system fails? Sarah met his dark eyes steadily. Then we revisit the conversation. Marcus smiled, and for the first time, it seemed genuine. You're stronger than you look, Sarah Mitchell. I'm learning from the best, aren't I? That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She watched the city lights twinkle below, one hand on her belly where Lily kicked steadily. Her old life was dead, the trusting wife, the devoted sister, the woman who believed love conquered all. But something new was being born, and not just her daughter. Her phone buzzed with a news alert. Jessica was streaming again, this time from David's office. Sarah watched with sick fascination as her replacement went through David's computer, showing off emails, including ones from Sarah begging David to come to therapy to work on their marriage. Look how pathetic she was, Jessica laughed, crying about wanting to save their marriage while David was with me. He used to read these to me in bed, and we'd laugh ourselves to sleep. Sarah screenshotted everything. Every cruel word, every admission, every piece of evidence. Marcus was right. They thought they'd won, so they were getting sloppy. Another message popped up, this one from an unknown number. Your sister is meeting David tomorrow. Parking garage of the Ritz-Carlton, 2 p.m. Thought you should know. A friend. Sarah showed the message to Marcus, who'd been working on his laptop in the corner of her room. Interesting, he murmured. Someone else is playing games. The question is, are they helping us or setting us up? Only one way to find out, Sarah said. We need someone at that meeting. Already arranged. Marcus made a call, speaking in rapid Italian. We'll have full surveillance, audio, video, everything. The surveillance footage from Tori and David's meeting was worse than Sarah could have imagined. She watched from her bed in Marcus's facility as her sister and husband met in the parking garage, their conversation crystal clear through the hidden microphones Marcus's team had planted. Is she still at Romano's? David asked without preamble. Yes, Tori confirmed. She's completely fallen for his protection act. She actually thinks he cares about her. David laughed, the sound making Sarah's skin crawl. Perfect. Let Romano think he's winning. The moment she testifies against the Kozlovs, she becomes a federal witness. They'll put her in protection, take the baby away for its own safety, and I'll get custody as the only parent not connected to organized crime. The money's already transferred? Tori asked, and Sarah heard the greed in her sister's voice. Your final payment hits once Sarah's committed to a psychiatric facility. The paperwork's ready. Dr. Harrison will testify she's been his patient for years, suffering from severe bipolar disorder with psychotic features. She was never sick, Tori said quietly, and for a moment Sarah hoped her sister might show remorse. No, but she is now. 6 months of lithium toxicity does permanent damage. Even if she claims poisoning, who'll believe her? The crazy woman who ran off with a mobster while pregnant? David pulled out an envelope, handing it to Tori. 50,000, a bonus for your excellent performance at the hospital. Sarah stopped the video, unable to watch more. Her sister had visited her, cried at her bedside, all while knowing it was an act. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical wound. I want to destroy them, Sarah told Marcus, her voice steady despite the tears on her cheeks. Both of them. Then we will, Marcus replied simply. But we need to be smart. David's planning something bigger. I can feel it. He was right. The next morning, Sarah woke to find her phone exploding with notifications. Jessica had done another live stream, but this time, she'd gone nuclear. The video showed Sarah's medical records, fake ones but convincing, detailing years of psychiatric treatment, suicide attempts, and violent episodes. I need to share something difficult, Jessica said to the camera, wearing a concerned expression that made Sarah want to throw something. David's ex-wife has been stalking us. She's been sending death threats to our unborn baby. We're scared for our lives. The supposed evidence was manufactured, but damning. Buying text messages Sarah had never sent, voicemails she'd never left, all created using AI to match her voice and writing style. The internet mob turned vicious within hours. Sarah's old social media accounts were flooded with hate before Marcus's team could delete them. They're setting up justification, Marcus said grimly, making it believable when something happens to you. Something like what? An accident or suicide. They're creating a narrative where your death wouldn't be surprising. As if to confirm his suspicions, Sarah received a text from David himself. For Lily's sake, let's meet. Just you and me. We can work out custody peacefully. Tomorrow, noon, our old favorite restaurant. It's a trap, Marcus said immediately. Obviously, but what if I go anyway? Marcus stared at her. That's insane. He won't hurt me in public. And if I'm wearing a wire, we might get him to confess something useful. Absolutely not. You're 8 months pregnant now. The stress alone could trigger labor. Sarah stood carefully, her belly heavy but her spine straight. I've been hiding for 2 weeks, playing the victim while they destroy my reputation. I need to face him. Marcus studied her for a long moment. You're different than you were 2 weeks ago. I had good teachers, Sarah replied. My husband taught me that love is a weapon. My sister taught me that blood means nothing. And you taught me that power comes from understanding your enemy's weakness. And what's David's weakness? Sarah smiled coldly. He thinks I'm still the same scared, trusting woman he married. He has no idea what I've become. Marcus made several calls, arranging security that would be invisible but omnipresent. Sarah would wear a wire, have tracking devices, and be surrounded by Marcus's men, posing as restaurant patrons. That night, as Sarah prepared for the meeting, Elena visited again. You're really going to face him? Elena asked. I have to, for Lily. Elena was quiet for a moment. You know, I was wrong about Marcus. Yes, he collects broken women, but not as trophies. He collects them because he sees his sister in every one, and sometimes, just sometimes, he actually does save them. Did he save you? Elena laughed bitterly. No, I was never broken enough to need saving. That's why our marriage failed. Marcus needs to be needed, but you... She looked at Sarah appraisingly. You might be the first one who saves herself. The next morning, Sarah dressed carefully in a flowing maternity dress that hid the recording equipment. She looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. Gone was the soft, trusting attorney who'd given up her career for love. In her place stood someone harder, sharper, forged in betrayal and tempered by survival. Ready? Marcus asked. Sarah nodded, then surprised him by kissing his cheek. Thank you for everything. No matter what happens next, you saved my life and my daughter's. I won't forget that. For once, Marcus seemed at a loss for words. He simply nodded and led her to the car. The restaurant hadn't changed, still the same elegant French bistro where David had proposed 4 years ago. Sarah walked in slowly, her 8-month belly leading the way, hyper-aware of the wire taped to her ribs and Marcus's men stationed at nearby tables. David sat in their old corner booth, looking like the successful entrepreneur he pretended to be. His face showed concern as Sarah approached, but she saw the calculation in his eyes. Sarah, he stood, reaching for her arm. She stepped back, avoiding his touch. Please sit. You shouldn't be on your feet. Concerned about me now? Sarah kept her voice level as she sat. How touching. I've always been concerned about you. That's why I've been trying to get you help. He pushed a folder across the table. Custody papers. Sign them, and I'll make sure you get the best treatment available. The baby will be safe and loved, and you can focus on getting better. Sarah opened the folder, scanning documents that would give David full custody and have her committed to a psychiatric facility. You really think I'd sign this? I think you want what's best for our daughter. Growing up with a mentally ill mother. I'm not mentally ill, David. You poisoned me with lithium for 6 months. David's expression was pure sympathy. Sarah, this is exactly what Dr. Harrison said you'd claim. The paranoia, the conspiracy theories, it's textbook. Is it paranoia when it's true, when I have blood tests proving lithium toxicity? Tests from Marcus Romano's doctor? A mobster's pet physician? Come on, Sarah. No court would believe that over established medical records. Sarah leaned back, studying the man she'd once loved. Tell me something, David. When did you decide to do it? Was it before or after you found out I was pregnant? I don't know what. Was it when you realized your company was failing? When the Kozlovs got their hooks in you? Or was it earlier, when you married me for my money? David's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something cold underneath. You want the truth? Fine. You were supposed to be easy money. A lonely woman with a trust fund and daddy issues. The pregnancy was an accident. You were supposed to be too drugged to conceive. Sarah's hand went to the wire, making sure it was catching everything. So you never loved me? Love? David laughed. Love is for people who can afford it. I needed $30 million to stay alive. The Kozlovs don't accept IOUs. And Jessica, or should I say Natasha Kozlov? David went very still. How do you? I know everything, David. How the Kozlovs sent their daughter to seduce you. How she's not really pregnant. How you're all planning to kill me after you get custody of Lily. You're insane, David said, but sweat had appeared on his forehead. Am I? Then why are there 3 men with Russian prison tattoos sitting at the bar, watching us? Your handlers, making sure you close the deal? David glanced toward the bar and his face paled. The men were indeed there. Not Kozlov's, but Marcus's Russians, placed specifically to spook him. They'll kill us both if you don't sign, David whispered urgently. Sarah, please, for the baby. The baby you tried to poison? The daughter you never wanted? I'll protect her. I swear, just sign the papers. Sarah stood slowly, dignity intact despite her massive belly. You know what the difference is between you and me, David? You sold your soul to monsters to save yourself. I made a deal with a devil to save my daughter. Guess who got the better bargain? She walked away, leaving David scrambling to follow. But as she reached the door, he grabbed her arm hard enough to bruise. You stupid bitch, he hissed. You think Romano will protect you forever? The moment you're no longer useful, you'll disappear like all his other charity cases. Maybe, Sarah agreed calmly, but you'll be in federal prison long before that happens. David's grip tightened. What did you do? Nothing yet, but Jessica's live streams have been very educational. Did you know she showed your laptop password on camera and that your cloud storage auto-syncs? The FBI will find it fascinating. All those financial records you thought were hidden. David raised his hand as if to strike her, but suddenly Marcus was there, having appeared from nowhere. His hand caught David's wrist, squeezing until bones creaked. Touch her again, and they'll never find your body, Marcus said quietly, his voice carrying the promise of violence. David jerked away, looking between them with naked hatred. This isn't over. No, Sarah agreed. It's just beginning. As they left the restaurant, Sarah felt the first contraction. She gripped Marcus's arm, breathing through it. Hospital. Now. It's too early. You're not due for 3 weeks. Tell that to Lily, Sarah gasped as another contraction hit. She's coming now. The next 12 hours blurred together in a haze of pain and fear. Sarah labored in Marcus's private facility, Dr. Elizabeth Harper monitoring her closely. The baby was coming 3 weeks early, likely triggered by the stress of confronting David. You're doing beautifully, Dr. Elizabeth Harper assured her. The baby's heart rate is strong. Marcus stayed by her side, an unexpected source of comfort. He held her hand through contractions, never complaining when she crushed his fingers. "Why are you still here?" Sarah gasped between contractions. "This isn't your responsibility." "You're under my protection," Marcus said simply. "That doesn't stop because you're in labor." As the hours passed, Sarah's phone lit up with notifications. Jessica was streaming again, this time from a courthouse. "We're filing for emergency custody," Jessica announced to her audience. "Sarah Mitchell has disappeared with our baby. We're terrified she'll hurt herself and the child." "Turn it off," Sarah begged, but Marcus shook his head. "We need to document everything. This is evidence of harassment and fraud." Another contraction hit, stronger than before. Sarah screamed, feeling like she was being torn apart. Somewhere in the pain, she heard Dr. Elizabeth Harper saying something about complications, about the baby being in distress. "What's wrong?" Sarah demanded. "What's happening to my baby?" "The cord is wrapped around her neck. We need to do an emergency C-section." Terror flooded through Sarah. After everything, surviving the hemorrhage, escaping David, fighting for her life, she couldn't lose Lily now. "Do it," she said. "Whatever it takes, save her." As they prepped her for surgery, Marcus leaned close. "She'll be fine. You're both fighters." Sarah wanted to believe him, but fear consumed her as the anesthesia took hold. Her last thought before darkness was a prayer to any power listening. "Please let my daughter live." She woke to the sound of crying, the most beautiful sound she'd ever heard. Lily was here, alive, screaming her fury at the world. "5 pounds, 2 ounces, dear Elizabeth," Harper announced, placing the tiny bundle in Sarah's arms. Small, but perfect. Sarah looked down at her daughter. 10 tiny fingers, a shock of dark hair, and eyes that were already alert and curious. Despite everything, Lily was perfect. "She's beautiful," Marcus said softly, and Sarah was surprised to see genuine emotion in his eyes. "Do you want to hold her?" Marcus accepted the baby carefully, holding her like she was made of spun glass. For a moment, his controlled mask completely dropped, and Sarah saw raw pain. He was thinking of his sister, the baby who never got to take a breath. The moment was shattered by Sarah's phone ringing. It was Tori. "Sarah, oh my God, I just heard you were in labor. Is everything okay?" Sarah wanted to hang up, but something made her answer. "Lily's here. She's healthy." "I'm so happy for you." Tori's voice was full of false warmth. "Where are you? I want to meet my niece." "You'll never meet her," Sarah said flatly. "I know what you did, Tori. The money David paid you, the way you helped him poison me." "Silence, then. I don't know what you're talking about." "I have the surveillance footage. You and David in the parking garage discussing your payment schedule." The line went dead. Tori had hung up. "She'll go straight to David," Marcus warned. "Good, let them panic." But the real surprise came an hour later when FBI agents arrived at the facility. Agent Diane Cooper, a woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper suit, presented her badge. "Sarah Mitchell, we need to talk about your husband's involvement with organized crime." Sarah looked at Marcus, who seemed unsurprised. "You called them?" "No," Marcus said slowly. "I didn't." Agent Cooper smiled. "We've been investigating the Kozlov family for 3 years. When Jessica Kozlov started live streaming evidence of money laundering, well, she made our job much easier. We're here to offer you a deal." "What kind of deal?" "Full immunity and witness protection in exchange for your testimony against David Mitchell, the Kozlov organization, and," she looked at Marcus, "anyone else involved in criminal activities." The threat was clear. Testify against Marcus too, or face potential charges herself. "She just gave birth," Marcus said coldly. "This can wait." "Actually, it can't." Agent Cooper pulled out a tablet showing a news alert. "David Mitchell just held a press conference claiming his wife kidnapped their baby with the help of organized crime. There's now an Amber Alert out for your daughter." Sarah's arms tightened around Lily. They were trying to take her baby using the very system meant to protect children. "What do you need me to do?" Sarah asked. 3 days after giving birth, Sarah sat in an FBI field office, baby Lily sleeping in a carrier beside her. She'd agreed to wear a wire to David and Jessica's engagement party. Yes, they were shameless enough to celebrate while still married to other people. This is dangerous, Agent Cooper admitted. But with you inside, we can get everyone, David, Jessica, the Kozlov lieutenants who will be there, maybe even the old man himself. And Marcus? Sarah asked. Cooper's expression was unreadable. Marcus Romano has been a person of interest for years, but we've never been able to prove anything. He's either completely legitimate or the smartest criminal we've ever investigated. Sarah knew the truth was probably both. Marcus operated in gray areas, never quite crossing lines that couldn't be uncrossed. But he'd saved her life, and she wouldn't be the one to destroy him. I'll get you David and the Kozlovs, Sarah said. That's all I'm promising. The party was being held at the Plaza Hotel, a final insult since it was where Sarah and David had their wedding reception. Sarah arrived looking every inch the scorned wife seeking closure, hollow eyes enhanced with makeup, figure still soft from pregnancy, wearing a simple black dress that made her look vulnerable. David met her at the entrance, his eyes immediately going to the baby carrier. You brought her? You wanted to see your daughter, Sarah said. Here she is. David peered at Lily and Sarah saw nothing paternal in his gaze, just calculation. She's small. Premature babies usually are. The stress of finding out my husband was poisoning me triggered early labor. Still with the delusions, David sighed theatrically. Several guests were already recording on their phones. Come inside, Jessica wants to meet you. The ballroom was packed with influencers and minor celebrities, all here to witness the drama. Jessica stood at the center in a white gown, her fake baby bump even more prominent. Sarah, she rushed over with false concern. I'm so glad you came. We need to work together for the children's sake. Children? Sarah kept her voice steady. You mean your fake pregnancy? Jessica's smile tightened. Don't start, Sarah, not here. Why not? Your audience loves drama. Sarah raised her voice slightly, knowing every phone was now pointed their way. Tell them the truth, Natasha. Tell them who your father really is. The room went quiet. Jessica's face cycled through emotions, shock, fear, then rage. You stupid bitch, she hissed, dropping her sweet act entirely. You have no idea what you've just done. I've told the truth, something you're allergic to. That's when Sarah saw him, Victor Kozlov himself, Jessica's father, standing near the bar. The old man looked like a grandfather, but his eyes were dead as a shark's. He approached slowly, the crowd parting before him. Mrs. Mitchell, I believe you have something that belongs to us. I don't know what you mean. $30 million. Your husband took it from your account to pay his debts to us. That money is ours. Sarah laughed, actually laughed. That's what this is about? David stole from me to pay you, and now you think I owe you? She turned to the crowd, many still filming. Everyone hear that? The Kozlovs are admitting to extortion and money laundering on camera. Victor's face darkened. You're making a mistake. No, you did. You sent your daughter to destroy me, but she's too narcissistic to be careful. Every live stream, every post, she's been documenting your crimes. That's when chaos erupted. FBI agents flooded the ballroom from every entrance, weapons drawn, shouting for everyone to get down. But in the confusion, Victor pulled a gun, pointing it directly at Sarah and Lily. If I'm going down, you're coming with me, he snarled. Time slowed. Sarah turned her body, shielding Lily, waiting for the shot. But it never came. Marcus appeared from nowhere, tackling Victor before he could fire. The gun went off, the bullet hitting the ceiling, and then Marcus and Victor were on the ground fighting for control of the weapon. More shots, screaming. Sarah clutched Lily, trying to get to safety, but David grabbed her arm. This is your fault, he screamed. All of it. He raised his hand to strike her, but suddenly Tori was there, pulling him back. Don't you touch her! Sarah stared at her sister in shock. Tori looked terrible, thin, haunted, like she hadn't slept in days. I'm sorry, Tori sobbed. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I was weak and greedy and stupid. But I won't let him hurt you anymore. David shoved Tori aside and lunged for Sarah again, but FBI agents tackled him, cuffing him as he screamed obscenities. When the dust settled, the casualties were counted. Viktor Kozlov was in custody, along with 6 of his lieutenants. Jessica Natasha was caught trying to flee through the kitchen. David was processed on site, the wire Sarah wore having captured his confession to poisoning, theft, and conspiracy to commit murder. And Marcus was gone. He'd vanished in the chaos, leaving only a text on Sarah's phone. The debt is paid. You're free. Live well. M. 1 year later, Sarah stood in a Manhattan courtroom watching as David received his sentence. Life without parole for attempted murder, conspiracy, money laundering, and fraud. He looked smaller somehow, deflated, nothing like the charismatic man she'd married. Jessica Natasha had already been sentenced to 30 years. Her father Victor got life, his empire crumbling as dozens of associates flipped for plea deals. The Kozlov crime family was finished. Tori had pled guilty to attempted poisoning and got 15 years. At her sentencing, she'd looked at Sarah and mouthed, "I'm sorry." Sarah didn't respond. Forgiveness might come someday, but not yet. After the verdict, Sarah walked out of the courthouse into bright sunshine. Lily, now a robust 1-year-old, babbled happily in her arms. The press was there, of course, shouting questions. Sarah, how does it feel to have won? Will you write a book about your experience? Any comment on Marcus Romano's whereabouts? Sarah paused at the last question. Marcus was still missing, wanted for questioning, but never charged with any crimes. The FBI had searched for him for months before admitting defeat. He'd vanished like smoke. No comment, Sarah said, walking to her car. Her new office was in a gleaming building downtown. Mitchell and Associates, Justice for the Silenced. She'd rebuilt her law career from scratch, specializing in helping women escape financial abuse. Her story had made her famous, and clients sought her out from across the country. As she worked at her desk, Lily playing in her custom-built nursery corner, her assistant knocked. "Ms. Mitchell, there's a delivery for you." It was a single white rose with a note. "Saw the news, proud of you. M." Sarah smiled, tucking the note into her desk drawer with the others. Marcus sent one every month, always from a different country, always untraceable. She'd stopped looking for him after the 6th month. Wherever he was, she hoped he'd found peace. Her phone rang, a new client, another pregnant woman whose husband was hiding assets before filing for divorce. Sarah listened to the woman's tearful story, taking notes. "We'll destroy him legally," Sarah assured her. "Men like that think pregnancy makes us weak. They're about to learn otherwise." After scheduling the consultation, Sarah looked at Lily, who was chewing on a toy gavel, a gift from one of Sarah's judge friends. "Your daddy thought he could break us," Sarah told her daughter. "Your aunt thought money was worth more than blood. They were both wrong." Lily looked up at her mother with bright, intelligent eyes, Sarah's eyes, thankfully, with no trace of David in them. A text arrived on her phone from an unknown number. "The Romano family sends their regards. If you ever need anything, you know how to reach us. E. Elena." Marcus's ex-wife had taken over some of his legitimate businesses, keeping the Romano name alive in certain circles. It was insurance, Sarah knew, a reminder that she still had dangerous friends if needed, but she didn't need them. Not anymore. That evening, Sarah stood on her apartment balcony, holding Lily as they watched the sunset over Manhattan. The city that had nearly destroyed her had also rebuilt her. She'd been poisoned, betrayed, and nearly murdered. She'd given birth while her husband tried to steal her child. She'd faced down mobsters and won. "We survived, baby girl," she whispered to Lily. "We more than survived. We thrived." Her phone buzzed with a news alert. Marcus Romano spotted in Monaco. The attached photo was blurry, but she'd recognize him anywhere. He was at a casino, naturally, a beautiful woman on his arm. But when Sarah zoomed in, she saw something that made her laugh. The woman was visibly pregnant and had the haunted look Sarah recognized from her own mirror a year ago. "Once a savior, always a savior," she murmured. "Good luck, Marcus. May you find what you're looking for." She deleted the alert and turned off her phone. Tomorrow would bring new battles, new clients to protect, new predators to destroy in court. But tonight she was just a mother holding her daughter, 2 survivors watching the city lights come alive. The intercom buzzed. "Ms. Mitchell, your dinner has arrived." It was from her favorite restaurant, the French bistro where David had proposed, where everything had ended and begun. She'd reclaimed it, like she'd reclaimed everything else he'd tried to take from her. As she fed Lily, Sarah thought about the woman she'd been, trusting, naive, willing to give up everything for love. That woman had died in a parking garage, bleeding and alone. But from her ashes had risen someone stronger, someone who understood that real power came not from the men who claimed to protect you, but from surviving their protection. Her phone lit up with one final message of the day from a number she recognized as the FBI Witness Protection Program. Your new identity documents are ready whenever you want them. You've earned a fresh start. Agent Cooper. Sarah deleted the message without responding. She didn't need a new identity. She was Sarah Mitchell, attorney, mother, survivor. She'd earned this name through blood and betrayal, and she'd be damned if she'd give it up now. Looking at Lily, who was giggling at something only she could see, Sarah made a promise. I'll teach you to be strong, she said, to never depend on anyone for your safety or happiness, to trust carefully and strike back twice as hard when that trust is betrayed. Lily reached for her mother's face, patting her cheek with a chubby hand as if to say she understood. Outside, Manhattan roared with its usual chaos, sirens, honking horns, 8 million souls fighting for their piece of the dream. Sarah had fought for hers and won. The accidentally texted billionaire, the mafia connections, the poisoning husband, the traitorous sister. They'd all been chapters in her story, but they weren't the ending. The ending was this: a woman and her daughter, safe and free, with justice served and a future unlimited by anyone else's agenda. Your move, world, Sarah whispered to the night. We're ready for whatever comes next. As she carried Lily to bed, Sarah noticed something she'd missed before: a small package by the door delivered with dinner. Inside was a chess piece, a white queen, made of perfect crystal. The note simply said, every game needs a queen. You've proven you're mine. Until we meet again. M. Sarah smiled, placing the piece on her mantel. Marcus Romano might be gone, but his lesson remained. In a world of predators and prey, be neither. Be the one who changes the game entirely. Lily was already asleep, peaceful in her crib, unaware of the battle fought for her safety. Sarah kissed her forehead gently. Sleep well, my little warrior. Tomorrow, Mommy has 3 more cases to win, 3 more women to save. Because that's what we do now. We save ourselves and then we save others. She closed the nursery door quietly and went to her home office. On the wall hung her law degree, restored and reframed, next to a photo from today's sentencing. But the centerpiece was a framed text message, the one that had saved her life. Tori, please help. I'm hemorrhaging. David destroyed me. Need hospital now. The message that went to the wrong number. The mistake that became salvation. Sarah pulled up her case files for tomorrow. A CEO's wife discovering offshore accounts. A pregnant teacher whose principal was threatening her job. A grandmother whose son was stealing her Social Security. Each one thought they were alone, destroyed, helpless. They had no idea they were about to meet Sarah Mitchell, the woman who'd accidentally texted the mafia and lived to tell about it. The woman who'd turned her would-be murderers against each other. The woman who'd risen from the ashes of betrayal to become something magnificent. The intercom buzzed one more time. Ms. Mitchell, sorry to disturb you, but there's a woman in the lobby. She says she's pregnant and needs help. She said to tell you she got your number from a mutual friend named Marcus? Sarah smiled. Of course. Even from exile, Marcus was still sending her broken birds to save. Send her up, Sarah said. Tell her she's safe now. Because that's what Sarah Mitchell did now. She saved women who'd been betrayed, poisoned, abandoned. She gave them what Marcus Romano had given her, a second chance at life and the tools to seize it. The elevator dinged, and Sarah opened her door to find a terrified young woman, 8 months pregnant, with a black eye poorly hidden by makeup. I'm Sarah, she said gently, guiding the woman inside. You're safe now. Let me guess, your husband owes money to dangerous people, and you just found out you're the collateral? The woman's eyes widened. How did you know? Sarah poured her some tea, settling her on the couch. Because I've been where you are. Now tell me everything. We're going to destroy him legally, publicly, and completely. By the time we're done, he'll wish he'd only had the mob to deal with. As the woman began her story, Sarah took notes, already planning the legal strategy. Outside, Manhattan glittered with promise and peril, but inside this apartment, inside this moment, another woman was being saved. Another phoenix was preparing to rise. The White Queen stood on the mantel, catching the light, a reminder of the game that never really ended. But Sarah had to learn the most important rule. You don't win by playing their game. You win by creating your own. And tonight, like every night since that fateful text to the wrong number, Sarah Mitchell was winning.